Hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. So I have been called, of all things, an AI denier. So people have said, I deny the fact that AI is real intelligence. I deny the fact that AI is here and it's doing stuff. Now, most of the comments that I got were automatically, for some reason, blocked by YouTube, and YouTube does block a lot of comments. On one of my videos was that, I'm an AI denier. In that video, I said that, AI is not artificial intelligence in the sense that you and I would think about it, or like you would think about it in science fiction. It's more of a glorified, let's say, article spinner. Now, as someone who's been doing SEO for the past 16 years and who has been a writer before that, so a good 20 years of industry experience, I'm familiar with article writers. I'm also familiar with article rewriters. And so in the past, we would use what's called an article spinner, and we would take one original article and spit out 50 variations of that article. And it was very easy to do. All you need to do is just, add some, sans text to it, a bit of a code to the article. Well, you can't call it code, but with some instructions. And then the article spinner would just spin that over and over again into different permutations. And that is how an article spinner works. Now, the way AI works is that it copies other people's content because it doesn't have its own experience. It doesn't experience the real world. It has no medical experience, but it regurgitates content that's already out there. And so a lot of people send hate my way. Now Wired.com has come out with this article, and there's a link to this article in the description. I'm not going to go through the whole article. I'm just going to go through what I think are the most important points in this article. And all right, so let's get to the article. So Perplexity is a BS machine. A wide investigation shows that the AI-powered search startup Forbes is accused of stealing its content is surreptitiously scraping and making things up out of thin air. Now, just to give you guys some context, I run a bunch of websites and I check the logs, server logs or something I check as part of my SEO work. And there was a time when Perplexity AI was kind of being called out, and they published a whole list of IP addresses that they said, if you want to block our bots from accessing your content, you can block these IP addresses. But then, as it turns out, in this investigation, blocking those IP addresses does not do anything. Also, if you have a robot.txt file that denies crawlers access to parts of your website, Perplexity AI's crawler does not really care about it. So even if it's content behind a paywall, behind whatever, if it can be accessed by a crawler, Perplexity AI will pull it out. Plus, if it can't pull it out, based on the article's title and whatever information is, snippets of information is available, it will hallucinate and turn that information into BS and spit it out as real content or real informative content. What the article says, considering Perplexity's bold ambition and the investment it has taken from Jeff Bezos, NVIDIA, and famed investor Balaji Srinivasan, not sure if I pronounced his name correctly, among others, is surprisingly unclear what the AI search startup actually is. Well, I'm not sure if you guys heard of Rabbit, but Rabbit is a lot like Perplexity AI. So if you want to sell a scam, all you need to do is just add the term AI to it, and you will make millions of dollars. And a lot of these intelligent people have caught on to it, and they have turned their article spinners into AI writers, or AI, in this case, surmisers. So early this year, speaking to Wired, Arvind Sarvinasis, Perplexity CEO, described this product, a chatbot that gives natural language answers to prompts and can, the company says, access the internet in real time as the answer engine. A few weeks later, shortly after a funding round valuing the company at $1 billion was announced, he told Forbes, it's almost like Wikipedia and ChatGPT had a kid. So he says this was Chatopedia. So what is this, like really Chatpedia? So he's saying that his chatbot is the next best thing, or probably a 2.0 of Wikipedia. Now, he says this this is one statement, but he doesn't stick to the statement. So he's a lot like the other CEOs. He's kind of schizophrenic. So he goes, more recently, after Forbes accused Perplexity of plagiarizing its content, Srinivas told the AP it was a mere aggregator of information. So he says, he goes from saying it's Wikipedia or Wikipedia-like to saying that it's an aggregator of information. So what's really an aggregator of information? Well, the definition of an aggregator is that it just pulls in information and just lists it, right? It doesn't try to rewrite it. It doesn't try to show that information as its own. But over here, we have Perplexity AI that's literally stealing information, rewriting it, and showing it that it's its own creation. It's a lot like those cheap writers that you can hire on Fiverr. They'll just go out and just rewrite someone else's content and say this is original content and it will pass Copyscape, but this is not really originally researched. It's just rewritten content. The Perplexity chatbot itself is more specific. Prompted to describe what Perplexity is, it provides text that reads. Perplexity AI and AI-powered search engines that combine features to traditional search engines and chatbots. It provides concise, real-time answers to users' queries by pulling information from recent articles and indexing the daily web. So I think Perplexity over here answered its own question very well. It says, we answer questions by indexing the internet. So we're scraping the internet and then rewriting answers. That's it, and they're doing it they're doing it under the guise of surmising answers to provide people with a quick access to information, which it's not really doing. But the thing here is most archives and most aggregators are not for profit. These guys are making money out of stealing other people's information and stealing other people's content. And specifically, news agencies like Forbes and Wired, these guys, they've got real people working for them. They get real salaries. And if you just have just ripping these guys off or ripping their content off, it means that there's no incentive to create good content. So anyways, a Wired analysis and one carried out by developer Rob Knight suggests that Perplexity is able to achieve this partly through apparently ignoring a widely accepted web standard known as robot.txt. This is called a robot exclusion protocol to surreptitiously scrape areas of websites that operators do not want accessed by bots, despite claiming that it won't. Wired observed a machine tied to Perplexity, and more specifically one on an Amazon server of all, and almost certainly operated by Perplexity, knowing this on Wire.com and across Condé Nast applications. So apparently, this is a well-planned operation to scrape the internet and to make millions of dollars doing it. And these investors know it. The guy who's the CEO of the company knows it. It's just that the laws are made in a way that they're not really breaking the law. They're not blatantly publishing other people's content, but they're surmising it. So technically, they're kind of bypassing that copyright law. So the Wired analyst also demonstrated that despite claiming that Perplexity tools provide instant reliable answers to any questions with complete sources and citations included, doing away with the need to click on different links. Its chatbot, which is capable of accurately summarizing journalistic work and appropriate credit, is also prone to BSing in a technical sense of the word. So what Wired did was they provided the Perplexity chatbot with the headlines of dozens of articles published on our website, Wired.com, this year, as well as prompts about the subjects of Wired's reporting. The results showed that chatbot at times closely paraphrased Wired stories and at times surmising stories inaccurately and with minimal attribution. In one case, the text generated falsely claimed that Wired had reported that a specific police officer in California had committed a crime. The AP similarly identified an instance of the chatbot attributing fake quotes to real people, despite its apparent access to original Wired reporting and its site hosting Wired art. Though most of the IP addresses publicly listed by the company left any identifiable left any identifiable trace in our server logs, raising the question how exactly Perplexity's system works. And I'll tell you how it works. So it doesn't need bots. What it can do is it can take a snapshot of a website, accessing it through a headless browser, which is also mentioned in this article, by the way. If you read it, it's in the article. Using a headless browser, it visits the website as a regular person would, takes a snapshot of that, pulls out the text from that information, and rewrites it. And that is why it is undetectable. Now, don't ask me how I know this, but I kind of tested this, and I know that is how it works. And it's later on in this article they've mentioned, and I read this article. So that's pretty much how AI is pulling information from so-called blocked sources. So they did an experiment. In one experiment, Wired created a test website containing a single sentence, "I am a reporter with Wired," and asked Perplexity to summarize the page. While monitoring the website server logs, we found no evidence that Perplexity attempted to visit the page. Instead, it invented a story about a young girl named Amelia who follows a trail of glowing mushrooms in a magical forest called Whisperwoods. Now, I wonder why did Perplexity use mushrooms and glowing mushrooms? Suspicious. Well, hallucinations, and we all know what hallucinations are associated with, which I don't want to mention in this video because this video is not about that stuff. So clearly, this can be legal, but it is legal, and there's nothing people can do about it. There's nothing content creators can do about it. There's nothing major publications that Wired can do about it, and so this is what you're really left with. So if you want to create great content, just bear in mind that it's going to be stolen in the guise of AI, and really there's nothing that you can do. I have instances really of content that was just copied by ChatGPT and just pasted it as is. And so if you're using these bots, and so the moral of the story, if you're using these AI bots and you're using AI to write articles or to do SEO, then you're in trouble, because you could end up with a lawsuit because you copied someone else's content, and because most people get complicit and they don't run every piece of content that they generate with AI through Copyscape, there's always a chance that they will end up inadvertently publishing content that someone else holds the copyright to. So be very careful when you're using AI. Make sure to always edit your content before you publish it. Let me know in the comments below, guys, if you like the video, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.